Week 17. Wow, this is it. This is it, guys. Week 17 in the National Football League. Last week of the regular season. You are watching World of Matchups, NFL Handicapping Podcast, coming to you guys live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. I am Dexter Reed, your host. On the other side of the glass, my A1 from day one and producer of WOM. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Spencer the Wiz. Good morning, sir.
Going on. I'm ready to get to the Raiders game, I should really say, because there's some
God.
things I want to say. If I said them on the radio tomorrow, I'd get fired. So I'm glad I have another show where I can talk about the Raiders a little bit
Raiders are
more freely.
trash. Oh, God. Anyway, this is why we do our own podcast, because we can say whatever we want. Let's set it off with the Saturday games. Cue up the music and let's ride, bro.
All right. So to start things off, we have the Chargers going to New England. I'm going to pull up the lines, but obviously a bit of a softball here to end the season for the Chargers. In my opinion, when you have a very gritty game like this, it's just going to go towards the team, I think, with a better coach. And obviously the Patriots have nothing to play for because they're stuck in that pack of the 3-win teams where it's a very large list of teams. One of them is going to have to move today, right? The Jaguars and the Titans, or not today, tomorrow. So that's going to have to change. But the Patriots, obviously, they want to be as close to Travis Hunter and those kinds of players as they can. Now, obviously, the players don't understand that, but still, at the end of the day, there's a reason this team is a 3-win team. They were my pick to have the worst record in the NFL going into the year, and obviously, I got pretty close. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Chargers here. I mean, really, what's the point of? There's no way the Chargers don't have a really good week here. I think they get a few interceptions, maybe, or like a couple interceptions, a couple turnovers total. And they just play a nice, really clean game. This is just one of those games that we talk about where you just got to play professionally, from start to finish. You go in with a game plan. You're better than the other team. You execute. You'll win by 7 points, and that's what I think will happen here.
Yep, I agree. Chargers are on their way to the playoffs. They've had a really nice first year under new HC Jim Harbaugh. So they fly across the country, and they're taking on a Patriot team who, I think the Patriots would have more wins if they didn't play games with Drake May and just put him out there from day one. They just should, this whole Jacoby Brissett nonsense, it was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. Okay? But they didn't, and so now it's taken May a little bit longer to get up to speed. May's future is bright. May, to me, is kind of like a mini Herbert.
That's what I said in the draft, yeah.
He's kind of like a mini Herbert. And so it's going to take them some while to get up to speed. They're not playing for much here. They're not even so
no
sure.
offensive weapons. I mean,
they got no weapons, man. I mean, Jalen Polk has been an unmitigated disaster for them. What has he done this year? He's been absolutely nothing. They're talking about benching Ramondre Stevenson for Antonio Gibson. I mean, they got all kinds of problems. You know what I mean? They're saying Mayo may not even come back as HC. It's two teams going in opposite directions. I've taken the team that's headed to the playoffs. And the X factor here is that they're getting back their starting running back off IR today. So when you add all these things up, this should be a resounding W for the Chargers. I could see them kind of laying an egg because they don't score a whole lot of points, but they did have an offensive explosion a couple weeks ago under the lights. I'm going to take them -6 here, and I'm going to take them with confidence. If they are activating J.K. Dobbins, it's because he's ready to roll, and I think that they're going to feed him the ball like an absolute wild beast. And it's going to show up on the stat lines, and it's going to end up showing up in the points. They should beat this team by 6 points, no problem. Chargers -6 is the play.
Yeah, it almost feels like a minus and a 7.5 line to me. But jumping over to another team in the AFC West who is traveling, that is the Denver Broncos, going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is -3.5 in this game. It has not been a graceful end to the season, I guess, for the Denver Broncos. I mean, their defense has been exposed like quite a bit of times here as we reach the end, but I don't know. I think 3.5 is too much. I think the Denver Broncos can cover that, and I don't think it's definitely outside of the world of possibilities that they don't win this game. I mean, the Bengals defense is so bad. Like you cannot count them. It's like you almost don't want to take the Bengals anytime they're favored by like anything more than a field goal because they're just going to give up points on the other end. I mean, it's been the only reason they're not the number one seed in the AFC West is because of their defense. I mean, Joe Burrow is going to have an insane stat line to end the season. He's currently at 4,229 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. I mean, he's going to have a 4,500 yard, 40 touchdown. I mean, that's really good. So, with that being said, I think the Denver Broncos can cause enough turnovers, score enough points to at least keep this field goal. But yeah, I really do think there's a real chance that they win this game.
I like the Broncos here too. I think that the Bengals being on life support is not going to be enough to galvanize them to push through and get a win. I mean, they need so much help. I mean, imagine the Bengals needing help from Kansas City to get in the playoffs. I mean, come on, dude. It's over. You had your chances, man. It just goes to show you how if you don't take care of business early in the year, later in the year, man, when you really need it, it's over. I mean,
this is the Bengals every year.
Every single year, and it's a coaching issue. It's a culture issue. It's a culture issue. This is why I get rid of that coach. Because you're not ever going to really have this kind of Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, John Taylor tandem in the NFL. Joe Montana tandem, where you have T. Higgins, right? Jamar Chase Brown, and then you have Joe Burrow. It's not going to happen. And when you have it, you have to strike. And they have done a horrible job. The defense is an unmitigated disaster. I really like the Broncos here. I think the Broncos should be favored in this game, honestly. I know they haven't been playing that great, but Bo Nix is going to put up a really decent stat line here because he can. Number one, because the defense is so bad. He uses his legs better than anyone I've seen recently as a younger quarterback. And they're on their way to the playoffs, man. First year rookie going to the playoffs in the AFC West. They've had a nice year, man. And their defense, when it plays well, plays really well. They have been known to get blown up here or there, but they're still a decent defense. Their best corner is going to be on Jamar, or they're going to double Jamar and let the guys underneath work. I think Brown has a big day, but I just don't think it's going to be enough here. I really don't. I like those points. And I think if they could keep this game close, they might even be able to steal this game. Bengals, they just have screwed me so many times this year. I just can't take them with any kind of confidence. So it's going to be Broncos plus 3.5. Broncos country, let's ride.
All right. Wow. This next we have the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to LA to play the Rams.
I'm done with the Cardinals.
Last week was shocking to me, and this is what I wanted to say about it, like, because really it all falls on the feet of Kyler Murray, like, specifically, and I know it's a team sport, but this guy's going to have to decide, like, what he wants out of his career this offseason, because we're talking about one of the most talented players in the National Football League, in my opinion. Like, when he's playing at his peak, Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I really believe that. I mean, there was a stretch of games, like even like a year or 2 years ago, where he just looked like a magician, and he looked like he could do anything. But man, does he not have the football IQ to like lead his team into the playoffs? I mean, they're 7-8 for a good reason. I mean, this guy has thrown boneheaded, backwards, falling away, 360 interceptions, and it's like you got to learn if you really care about the longevity and basically like what you're going to get out of your career. He's going to have to like really bunker down, and it's not a physical thing. I mean, the guy's in good physical shape, no doubt about it. He doesn't look like he's huffing and puffing, and he's constantly running. It's like you got to do a little bit more studying. And I mean, it's funny to say that considering the controversy of him having something in his contract to say he needs to study film. But here we are. I mean, I think that they were onto something when they put that into his contract. You know, it seems to reflect on his play that the guy does not look at enough film and like, or at least just look at what he's doing on the football field to improve himself. And here they are. They got knocked out of the playoffs last week by a very lowly Carolina Panthers team. Obviously is a bit of a stretch here at the end of the season, but I mean, come on. Your playoffs are on the line. The Panthers had no real reason to win that game. That was your game. You dug yourself into a hole. They even got the ball in overtime. All they needed to do was score a field goal at that point for the Arizona Cardinals, and they couldn't even get a first down. That was an embarrassing loss for them. That is a heart-wrenching, like if you're a fan of the Cardinals, that reminds me of being a Raiders fan growing up. Those 8-8 teams with Carson Palmer, where it's just like one of those things like, come on, you lose to this horrible team. That's the Arizona Cardinals right now. They have a lot of thinking to do this offseason for sure. But going to this game now, I had a lot to say about that. It's -6.5 for the Rams. I just said all those horrible things about the Cardinals, but for some reason it feels like they're going to keep this claim close and it's going to be stupid. And I don't know why I'm doing this. Again, I just bashed the Cardinals for how they played last week. And I just feel like everyone in the world's going to be on the Rams, and it just seems like such an easy pick. And it seems like one of those games where the Cardinals have like the best game of the season and they like keep it really close. I don't know. I don't know what tells me that. I'm just going to go with my gut feeling on this. I don't feel, very strong about it at all. I'm not putting it on a teaser or anything, but yeah, I'll take the Arizona Cardinals +6.5. It just seems like too many points for a game like this.
I'm taking the Rams. I'm done with the Cardinals. I'm done with Kyler Murray. I'm just done with them, man. I'm sorry. How on God's green earth can Trey McBride have 0 touchdowns this year with the talent that man has? Somebody come explain this to me. How?
He was
Trey
mad coming back
McBride
from the locker room last game too.
I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce, but boy, this guy is really, really good. You can't scheme up some plays to feature this guy? How has Marvin Harrison Jr. had half the season that Malik Neighbors has had? And he's been healthy all year. Guys, there's something wrong in Arizona. And I've watched Kyler Murray. I've watched him turn the ball over at an alarming rate this year on some bonehead plays. The chemistry's not there. And now you're giving me a banged up James Conner. Trey Benson is also hurt. So now you're looking at Michael Carter, who was a thing 10 years ago, going into a team that has been winning games by scoring points, has been winning games by defense, that has been winning games via special teams, and is rested and at home on their way to the lofts with a Super Bowl head coach, a quarterback who's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp. And they have one of the best running backs in the league, and all I have to do is win by a tutty. I am not touching the Cardinals till next year. Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams -6.5, and give me the Rams with confidence. Okay? Guys, let me tell you something. There's a couple teams in the NFC that do not want to see the Rams. The Eagles are one of them, especially if Jalen Hurts' brains are oatmeal. They don't want to see, you do not want to see the Rams. The Vikings, they're another team. Y'all think that these are going to just be easy W's in the playoffs, and I got news for you, man. The Rams are ripe. They have done this before. I have not seen a team bounce back after winning a Super Bowl and gutting their team and losing a generational talent like the Rams have. A1. They have done an excellent job, and I love them this week. Take the Rams, take them with confidence. The Arizona Cardinals are fraudulent.
All right, there we go. So now we can go into the Sunday slate of games. Kind of a surprising line to start things off for me. It's the Indianapolis Colts are going to the Giants. I mean, week after week, the Giants get blown out by 14 plus points, and now they're only 7.5 point dogs against the Colts. I'm not afraid of this. I'm definitely going Indianapolis here. I know Indy doesn't technically have anything to play for, but My goodness, man. The Giants, they understood the assignment, right? When it comes to taking their season away, right? No one has done it better than them. This is the worst football team I have seen. And I'm a Raiders fan. This is the worst football team I've seen in a very, like, since the winless Lions, darn near. And at least that team had some, like, generational talent. Man, it's just like from top to bottom, it's so bad for them. And it's just like turnovers here, a blown coverage, and they just like add it all together. Like it's like just it happens every week. There's normally like one play where you can point out like, oh, awful. Every time you look at red zone and the Giants are on the screen, that's the kind of play you're looking at because they're doing something just ridiculously stupid. I know the fans will be out there, but all of them will be having signs about tanking for the draft. Everyone's going to make sure they secure that loss so that they can get what I believe to be Cam Ward. I don't think they're going to draft Shador personally, but
He won't go
obviously,
there.
yeah, I don't think his dad will let
He
him.
won't go there. They won't allow it. So it's going
Yeah,
to be an Eli Manning situation. They're going to, dude, Deion's
yeah,
cock blocking. Shador is going where Deion wants him to go. Guys, I'm telling you, do not put bets on Shador Sanders going anywhere because he's going where Deion wants him to go. Don't waste your
yeah.
money.
So I'm gonna take the Colts here. I think they blow them out, as everyone has over the last few weeks. I don't see why that would change this week versus other weeks.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson, man. I'm not taking the Giants. It could be Giants plus 45. I'm taking the team minus 45. I learned my lesson, man. It's done. Look, if we're talking about the Raiders in that fashion and the Jaguars in that fashion, it's time to start talking about the Giants in that fashion. Yes, I do think Cam Ward goes there simply because that, Shador Sanders is already talking about wanting to go to the Raiders. And the Raiders can't even tank right. So that's going to be interesting to see how they manipulate the draft and make that happen. But the Giants aren't trying to win. They need a franchise quarterback. And they're realizing at this point that they could get the number one pick, I believe, still. So
Yeah,
just
they're
tank,
there.
just they're there. Just lose, baby. You know what I mean? Think about a full rebuild. And me personally, I'm giving Brian Dable another year. I don't think this is necessarily his fault. It's really not. Now, was he the one to sign the check for Daniel Jones? You know what I mean? Was he the one to not pay Saquon? I don't think necessarily that these things were his fault. I would fire the GM. You know what I mean? But Brian Dable should come back. You got Tyrone Tracy. You got Malik Neighbors. Go get Cam Ward, man. You got Dexter Lawrence. You got Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, guys, it's really not that bad in New York. It's just one of those things where they have had a bad year. And, guys, you can't win without a starting quarterback. I mean, literally, Tommy Cutlett should never be heard from again. I mean, he should be literally an arena league quarterback. Drew Lock should be waived. I mean, enough. Like, seriously, like, enough of this. Like, guys, do you want to win? If you want to win, lay down this game. Like, don't even put pads on. Just go out there like the replacements and just say whatever you guys want to do. Jonathan Taylor should have himself a day. I mean, that's really what it should boil down to. I mean, playing for pride just hurts you now. Take a page out of what the Raiders did last week and don't do that. Just lose. Just lose. Intentionally throw the ball to the other team. Like make it a live tank. The Giants need this W. They need this number one pick, man. They gotta have it. And if they actually try to win this game, something is wrong with the NFL. I'm sorry. If I'm that coach, I'm sitting in that press box and I'm watching every play. And any positive yards, I'm on the phone with the coach. I'm like, don't you even think about trying to do some malarkey here. Lose the game. Lose badly. Lose badly. Like 45-0. Just take the L. Guys, in order to take wins in this league, you have to know how to also take losses. I remember what it was like when my team was losing relentlessly, and now I'm relishing in because I appreciate winning now because I know how hard it is to get there. But I've gone through it. Giants, it's now your turn to go through it. Lose the game. Anthony Richardson should have a decent day. Colts minus 7.5 is the play. Never again, Giants.
All right, we have the Jets. They are traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 9.5 in this game. Oh man, it's so tempting to take the Jets here because they've played some decently close games as of recent. I mean, they lost by 1 point. They did lose 31-6 against the Cardinals, I guess. You know what? As I'm seeing them and I'm looking at their schedule, anytime they play a half decent team, and it was only a 3-point game when the last time they played the Bills. And I wonder what the weather is like in this game too, actually. I feel like if it's pouring snow, I think you take the points because that's just generally speaking how those games go. But I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick. It is going to be pouring rain on Sunday in Buffalo. So that's not good, obviously. And you know what? I'm going to take the Jets. It looks like it's going to be kind of a miserable game. It's going to be freezing. Well, it'll be like 50 degrees with rain. Those kinds of games are just funky, man, and that's a lot of points. They played a close game last time the two played each other too. So it just seems kind of crazy. Like if it was 3.5, okay, or even 7.5, but there's too much that can go on in that game. There's too many, especially when you have a wet football. Things get funky. I mean, I remember the last time the Bills played a rain game. Josh Allen the ball just slipped out of his hand and he fumbled it. Like those kinds of things just can happen. Those games typically come down to just some random field goal, at some point. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a game I'm the most excited about. I think I took it on a teaser actually. That's kind of where I like this game. But when it comes to 9.5, I don't know. I'm a little weary just because the Jets have kept games pretty close, and they played a really good game against the Rams last week. Surprisingly good, actually.
I like the Jets too. I like the Jets a lot. Guys, I think the Jets could win this game. I mean, what's Buffalo playing for? Kansas City's got that one. It's wrapped. It's gift wrapped. Kansas City's in Cancun. What are you playing for? You playing for MVP? You know what I mean? Like, what's the motivation here if you're the Buffalo Bills? Go out and get yourself hurt for the playoffs? They're not going to be playing hard. Or will they? I don't know. You're telling me the ball's going to be wet? Could be raining, cold? I don't know. Jets play the East Coast. Jets can run the ball. Jets got a better defense. Only problem I have with the Jets is Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Because literally he's falling apart right before our eyes. But this could be a Breece Hall game. Bills' defense is overrated, guys. I'm telling you, if the Bills don't win the Super Bowl, it's going to be because of their defense. Their defense can't stop a nosebleed. They give up lots of points. I love the Jets. You're giving me 9.5 points with Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson? Why is that spread so high? I mean, do you really think that the Buffalo Bills, who have the 2 seed basically lock, are going to really push the issue? The New England Patriots, with any kind of decent coaching, win that game last week. Period. If they had one player, if the New England Patriots had T. Higgins, they win that game last week. I mean, come on, man. We got to stop talking about the Buffalo Bills like they're this juggernaut. Yes, they can score a lot of points. However, defense wins championships, man. Their defense worries me. It's not that good. It's okay, but I've seen teams score 45 points on them. You think your defense is going to win a Super Bowl that could give up 45 points? Anywhere? That's ridiculous. I'm taking the Jets here, and I'm taking it with confidence. And if I'm a millionaire and I got just tons of money to burn, I'm going Jets money line. I think they could upset the Bills here. I really, really do, man. Give me those Jets, give me those points, and go to Sizzler.
All right, we have the Tank Bowl of the week. So it's the Tennessee Titans facing off against the Jaguars. Big game, which sounds stupid, but really is. Just because, like I said, you have that big little bunch of 3-win teams. And obviously, one of these teams is going to be a 4-win team when it's all said and done. This is, as a Raiders fan, I'm just hoping that the Tennessee Titans win so badly. Because obviously the Jaguars aren't drafting a quarterback this year. That would give the Raiders a much bigger chance. And honestly, the Titans are a better football team. Now, they got their doors blown off to start the game against the Colts, man. And then they really stormed back. I mean, they got, uncomfortably close.
I thought they were going to come back and win the game.
Tony Pollard's going to eat in this game. I mean, Tony Pollard's pretty good, man. I'm good for him for getting out of Dallas, and obviously the situation hasn't been much better for him in Tennessee, but it looks like he's found a home. You know what I mean? Like he's settled in, he's playing really well. Like personally, and I think that any rookie quarterback that's going to end up jumping in there will have a nice little partner to hand the ball off to start, his career for sure. I could see I could see them winning this game and going after Quinn Ewers at that 4-win spot. I think some of these quarterbacks that aren't, maybe first round talent or top 10 at the very least are going to get pushed up just because there's so many teams. Like they can't go into next season with Will Levis, right? Obviously, they're benching the guy, so they're going to gut the QB room. They're going to draft whoever's there. I think that guy's going to be Quinn Ewers personally, but yeah, I mean, the Jaguars seem very dedicated to losing. I mean, they like purposely lost that game last week because they went Travis Hunter. So they obviously have their eyes on the prize. And the Jaguars are abysmal. And I know Titans are too, but it just seems like the Titans play with a little bit more like oomph, if that makes sense. And I think that's enough all you have to do literally is win the game. So I like the Tennessee Titans in this one.
I'll be Titans too, man. Yeah, I don't think the Jaguars are. What are the Jaguars doing? You know what I mean? I mean, you lost versus the Raiders. At this point, just continue to do what the Giants are doing, man. Just lose. Get that top pick. Get a high pick. Start over next year. Trevor Lawrence will be back healthy. You still got decent receivers. Evan Ingram will come back healthy. BTJ is fantastic. You're just thinking about your future here if you're the Jacksonville Giants. Who cares that you're at home? Those fans don't care. You know what I mean? Just tank, baby. Just lose this game. Titans are a better team. All around. They're just a better team. Their weapons are better. Calvin Ridley revenge game here. If there's such a thing. I don't know. There's not much to talk about here in this game, man. I mean, the Titans have had a really bad year. So have the Jags. But the Titans just have more moxie on offense. Mason Rudolph, if he's starting, should do enough here. I like Tony Pollard a lot. I mean, they're just a better team. There's not much to talk about here. These are two bad teams. One of them is playing for a higher draft pick than the other, so you take that higher draft pick team to win. Titans -1's the play. There's no juice here at all. If you're betting on this game, you have a real problem.
So another, I guess, kind of piece of the puzzle when it comes to the Tank Bowl here is the Raiders visiting New Orleans. This is a interesting game. So I guess I'll talk about the Raiders here a little bit. Here's what I'll say about AP. I don't blame him at all for winning last week.
He's your head coach.
If you're a head coach, I don't know actually, to be completely honest with you.
He's getting fired, bro.
Like Dan Campbell had one of the worst seasons ever in his first year. The locker room loves him. Everyone in that locker room, plays so hard. And if you really look at who played last week for the Raiders, it wasn't like he was. I mean, they had 7th round draft picks out there starting. So it feels like if you're talking about like how a coach can influence, I guess, the game, he's not calling plays, right? His ability to move the depth chart around was probably his greatest influence that he was going to have on that game. And they won. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously depressing, right? It's very typical for the Raiders to ruin what was a perfect opportunity to secure without having to trade up for your franchise quarterback. But AP said it right, man. Unfortunately, in his press conference, his job is to win, and Tom Telesco's is to manage the team, right? To draft them, to make trades. It sucks. It was awful. And I mean, it's to the point where I feel like I may never see them be successful in my entire life. Like my great grandfather was a Cubs fan. He waited his whole life to see them win a World Series, his whole life, and he never saw it.
Oh.
And I could see that happening to me. It's just Mark Davis is such an awful owner. He just really
so depressing, bro.
What?
That's so depressing.
I will say, like, it is depressing, but
God.
I'm lucky enough as a sports fan to have seen my favorite teams win championships. So it is better for me. Like I saw the Cubs win. So that was like that was the greatest championship I ever saw in my lifetime of teams that I supported, just because it feels like I inherited the will of my family. And it felt like a generational win for me. And I saw the Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup. So I've seen my favorite, like some people go their whole lives, without seeing anyone who they support win. So
Yep.
I can only say so much because I have seen some of my favorite teams win championships, but when it comes to the Raiders and the way that they're run, like you can't fumble backwards into a Super Bowl, right? You have to have good ownership, and Mark Davis just cares about headlines, right? The guy's I won't say anything bad against him financially. The guy knows how, like, his primary, business function is sports, and he does a great job of it. The valuation of the Raiders has skyrocketed. He took over the Aces and won like 2 championships in a row. I mean, the guy obviously, knows what he's doing when it comes to making money for his teams. He just has absolutely zero clue what it takes to run a franchise. And that was on display last week, big time. I will say this too before I end it, because I think the Raiders win this game. That would be an extra level of sickness for me. I guess Spencer Rattler is playing. I don't know if Derek Carr, I don't know I think, is he out just forever for
Yeah,
the
he's
rest of the
done.
season? Yeah, he's ruled out. I just saw that. Oh boy. But I wanted to finish by saying this about the Raiders. Unless Ben Johnson specifically is ready to sign the dotted line, I guess I'll say Mike Vrabel too. But I don't even know if I'm leaning that way. I say unless Ben Johnson is getting ready to sign the dotted line to be the head coach of the Raiders, and if he wants to, obviously you go for it. I say you keep AP around another year. The guy hasn't lost the locker room. All the players legitimately love him. I mean, he's got 7th round draft picks playing like their job's on the line. I mean, I guess theoretically it is,
They
but
are.
you know what I mean? I mean, they just get so hyped around this guy. And like I always talked about this a lot. Like when you go to a press conference and you're like this team, you can't say anything. Everyone's gonna hate what you say. You could say nothing and people will hate you. You know what I mean? There's no good answers when you go to the podium right now if you're a Raiders head coach, no matter who you are. So I look at what the players do, and they were just really excited to get that win last week. And I think you can keep with it. You got to find the right coordinators to pair with them, because obviously he has like no football knowledge like at all when it comes to the X's and O's, which is obviously the biggest problem with the guy and why I'm leaning Mike Vrabel. But I don't think you should just hire a guy to hire a guy next year. I definitely see a world where he sticks around. It feels like the Raiders are going to win this game, but I'm hoping the New Orleans Saints at home can find a way. I don't know, like Derek Carr gives him a really good pregame speech about beating him. I don't know. I really can't say anything. I couldn't say anything last week because I thought the Raiders were going to win last week in my heart of hearts, because I knew they're just a better football team than the Jaguars, and they're a better team than this freaking Saints team. But I'm going to take the Saints just because they're at home, I guess, and sometimes they play good at home. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Raiders are going to ruin their draft position again this week and crush my hopes and dreams.
Raiders win this game with ease. Sorry, Raiders minus 1.5 is my best bet. I watch I watch the Saints on Monday Night Football, and that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Sorry.
So depressing.
Alvin Kamara's out. Chris Olave, his brain is scrambled. He's questionable, but why would they put him out there? You have nothing to play for. Spencer Rattler has been giving zero help. Like, no help. I mean, they've got a bunch of practice squad players out there on the field playing Week 16. Brock Bowers is better than anybody on that entire team. They are going to win this game. It's just that simple. They blew their shot at the one. At this point, I feel like the team is playing to keep the head coach. Just kind of like you said, they love AP, so they're going to try to keep their head coach. And so that's what I think is going to happen. This is a resounding Raider victory. They're going to go after. Spencer Rattler is not bad, but he's got nothing to work with. You know what I mean? So when you have nothing to work with, you got nothing to work with. I don't care where the game is. It doesn't matter. The better team is the Raiders, man. You can't tell me at any point this year that the Saints would have taken Kansas City to the final gun. I'm sorry. They're horrible. And so it's going to be Raiders minus 1.5. We are no longer looking at draft picks or things like that. Last week proved it. They're playing for their head coach, and they're going to win this game. Best bet, easily.
Aiden O'Connell turned into Rich Gannon last week, man. So annoying.
He's going to do it again this week. He's going to do it
Not a
again this
bad
week.
quarterback, really, which makes this whole thing even more sickening, to be honest. We have the Carolina Panthers are going to Tampa Bay. Is Tampa Bay out of the playoffs?
Nah.
They're not, right?
No, they're 8-7.
They're minus 8.5-point favorites, and I'm going to take it. I know the Carolina has played some really good games, but I don't know, man. This just seems like one of those games where Tampa Bay is like, it seems like the game's going to be close, and then like Tampa Bay scores like 33 points, and they're at home. I don't want to go back-to-back weeks best bet against the Carolina Panthers, but gosh darn, man. You know what? I'm going to save it. This is not my best bet, but I feel very confident. This is one of the games I feel the most confident about this week. Tampa Bay they're clicking right now. And this feels like one of those games where there's going to be a lot of people on the Carolina Panthers considering how they played in recent weeks. And you're just going to see a Tampa Bay team that's just going to like bury them. Baker Mayfield is not Kyler Murray. This guy is going to put up massive amounts of points. Like, I don't think Carolina's going to get ahead of them. And they're going to have to dig their way out of a hole. It's going to have to be Carolina digging their way out of a hole. And that just seems to be when Bryce Young plays at his worst. So that's what I could see. That's what I see happening this week.
I really like Tampa here a lot. Chuba Hubbard has been put on IR this morning, and that just kills their run game. Chuba Hubbard is the straw that stirs the drink in Carolina. They have no one else. Miles Sanders.
How about Jonathan Brooks tearing his same ACL?
Brooks
he gets back.
His
career might be over.
Raheem Blackshear is going to be your guy now. Stop it. They're going to double Adam Thielen, and that's going to be all she wrote. Jalen Coker, that guy doesn't scare me. Jatavion Sanders, that guy doesn't scare me either. I mean, Tampa Bay is going to destroy this team. Tampa Bay is on the way to the playoffs. Another team that guys don't want to see. Kind of reminds me of last year when the Eagles beat the hell out of the Bucks and then had to face them again in the playoffs and lost. Two teams that these NFC teams think that they're going to steamroll. I don't think so, man. Tampa Bay and LA. I'm telling you, and they're both going to go into the playoffs hot. I love Tampa Bay this week. I think they take this team apart, man. Carolina, you've done better than I thought you've done this year. Would do. Okay, I'm willing to give you that. And at this point, man, Bryce Young is playing better than CJ Stroud, which is crazy to think. So kudos to you guys there. But you're running into the wrong team this week. I think they go crazy. Take the Bucks. Don't be scared of the high spread, guys. This is a 31-13 final.
All right, we have the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to Philadelphia. This was a pretty big line, and I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to play in this game.
He's out.
Plus 7.5 for the Cowboys. Cowboys have been playing decently over the last few weeks. I mean, they're 7-8. I mean, silently, right? This looked like a team that was going to be buried at the bottom. And they're winners of 4 of their last 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if Jalen Hurts was in this game, I think this would be I don't think the Cowboys will win. But I think they're playing well enough right now to where they play to keep Mike McCarthy, obviously, at the head coach position. He's going to be there next year.
Yep.
After a dumpster fire to start, they're now like really picking up the momentum. This is a division game. I'm getting a touchdown. I really like the Cowboys in this one. I mean, it's kind of lining up. They're playing their best they have all season. Kenneth Pickett is probably good for a couple picks. I mean, the guy is not that good. There's a reason that he got dropped. He made a couple of good throws, but he also threw a bad pick. So you're talking about a Dallas team that would love to just, beat up on the Eagles to end the season big time. So, yeah, I like the Cowboys in this game for sure.
I like the Cowboys too. Kenny Pickett stinks.
He does.
He stinks. What is it? Minus 7.5?
Yeah.
Give me them 7.5 points. You gotta be kidding me here, man. They played a fantastic game the last time out, man. And you could shut down Mike Evans. You can beat anybody. And that defense was playing fired up. They were playing inspired football. They refused to lay down. They refused, man. And this game is in Dallas, or is it in Philly? I don't care where
It's
it
in
is,
Philly,
actually. I don't care
but
where it is, man. Kenny Pickett
with
stinks.
yeah, as I'm saying, with Kenny Pickett's your quarterback.
Kenny Pickett stinks, dude. I'm sorry. Give me 7.5 points, man. Jalen Hurts literally is the glue of that team, man. That offense runs as he runs, and you take him out, it's hard to replace him. Okay, and you saw it last week. I mean, they should have never lost that game. My goodness, what a horrendous loss that was to the Washington Commanders. I have a funny
That was a
feeling that
legendary loss.
that was the type of loss that like you tell your grandkids about. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm an Eagles fan,
They had that game like it was done.
I lost bad on that. My buddy lost a boatload on that game. All my friends, the whole chat went silent. It was like radio silent for the rest of the day. Cancel Christmas. Okay? That loss canceled Christmas on my end over here. That's how bad that was. I can't take the Eagles here with any kind of confidence. I've always said that Kenny Pickett stinks, so I can't lay it here. I know Saquon is going for some records. I don't think he gets them. Dallas defense is better than advertised, man. They are, man. They're still gonna play, and these two teams hate each other, man. Give me them 7.5 points, man. I'm taking the Cowboys, and I'm taking them with confidence. Philadelphia, for as good as they are, they have idiot coaching, and they don't really scare me that much, especially without their leader, Jalen Hurts. And his eggs, man, they're scrambled. You may not see him for a minute, man. Just because they're not talking about him like Tua doesn't mean that's not what's happening. He's hurt bad. Next.
All right, we have the Dolphins going to Cleveland. A very bizarre line in this game for me. So this is going to be my best bet. The Dolphins are -4.5, and I guess technically the Dolphins don't have anything to play for, but the Browns have more nothing to play for. They're just an unorganized mess. They very Browns, dude. They reorganized the contract with Deshaun Watson this week. So he's going to be back next year, which is it's just absurd. This guy is such a steaming pile of garbage, and they just keep recommitting to him. I mean, they gave him a 5-year deal. He's got 2 years left. They're changing up the money on his team, and I know it's the dog pound, but the Miami Dolphins are a much better football team for them. And if the Browns won this game, that would be horrible. I mean, well, I guess they're out of the running for a quarterback, at least in theory, but I can even see them drafting a quarterback, sitting him maybe for a year. Like, they cannot be completely out on the QB race. I mean, Deshaun Watson has shown you nothing. He's shown you less than nothing. It's worse than nothing. The idea is better than, like, actually seeing what's on the product, what's on the field. I mean, he has just been abysmal.
He's been
So,
bad, man.
yeah, the Miami Dolphins have to find a way to do this, man. They really do.
Dolphins should win this game going away, but Tua is questionable. I mean, he's more questionable to play than to sit. They're just so disappointing. They just really are. And here's the thing, man. Like, no Nick Chubb. Jameis is benched. It's just a nightmare. I mean, what's the spread for? They're getting 4.5. They're minus 4.5, right?
The Dolphins are -4.5.
And this is it. Where is this game? Is it in Miami?
No, it's in Cleveland.
It's in the dog pound. Oh yeah. I'm gonna take Miami -4.5. I just don't think the dog pound can score. I think that Dorian Thompson Robinson's not really much of a thing to worry about. I have seen the Dolphin defense play well in spurts this year. I have seen that. And I believe there is a very outside chance, kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals, for them to make the playoffs. They need a lot of help, but it starts with them winning. And Jalen Waddle should play. Tyreek will be there. I can't see a reason they can't beat this game by 6 to 7 points. Do you? I mean, Browns are bad, man.
They're terrible.
I mean, they're terrible. They are terrible. So bad, man. Myles Garrett does concern me, but they haven't been the same since Kansas City went in there. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins -4.5. I'm not going to take them with a lot of confidence. Something about it scares me, but I am going to take them and pull and pray. Dolphins -4.5 is the play.
All right, we have what I consider to be like the best game of the day. I don't know why this isn't Sunday Night Football, but So Green Bay Packers, they're going to Minneapolis. The Vikings 13-2. It's even crazy to look at. I mean, this is a team I thought would be one of the worst in the NFL. Here they are. It's good for them, man. Stefan or what's his name? The Vikings head coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL, without a doubt. And he kind of slides under the radar. He's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL too.
Yeah, he really is.
This is a man. This is a tough game to call. I mean, this is just going to be one that's fun to watch. It's the late afternoon game. Kind of got that 1:30 start. Everyone's pretty much healthy. I mean, these guys are. This is a heavyweight fight right here. I mean, obviously, you're never going to be 100% healthy going into the last game, of the season. But for the most part, all things considered, no massive names. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. I don't feel it's really just a coin flip for me. And obviously the -1.5 spread reflects that. This could be a big game. I mean, if the Green Bay Packers win this game, they could very well become like my sneaky team to like make a Super Bowl push.
I've been
They're
telling
not.
you
It's
that.
not outside of their realm of possibilities for
I've
this
been
Green
saying
Bay
this for
Packers
weeks,
game.
dude. Yeah, I've been telling you guys that. Packers are a legitimate Super Bowl threat. You may not think so, but they are, and they could go.
Plus, when if they play the right team, they play at home in the playoffs. However things may end up. Well, maybe they can't do that. So I don't know, but they're a dangerous team. I mean, they can obviously beat anybody. I think they have the defense for it.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm going to take the Vikings minus the 1.5. Simply because Jair Alexander's just not been right, man. Just hasn't been right all year. The guys, I mean, I would waive Jair Alexander at the end of the year. Some guys just can't stay healthy, man. I mean, what are we paying you for? You're never on the field. And I need you on the field. I need you on the field. Jay Jettas, I need you on the field. And I think without him, if he doesn't play, which I don't believe he will, it's going to be a field day for Addison and Jets. And that's just the bottom line. Also, you haven't seen Hawkinson score yet. I think you see that happen this week. The Aaron Jones revenge game is in play. And Brian Flores has done an amazing job with the defense. You add all those things up, Packers coming off an amazing, humongous win on short rest now, fly to Minnesota. I think it's all set up here for the Vikings to cover and win. And I think that's what they're going to do. I think the Vikings remind me of that 13-3 team that lost at home to the Giants. I think it's the same kind of thing that's going to happen here. If they have to see the Rams, I think they could lose that game in their building. I do. Something about Sam Darnold, who I love, still has me worried when it matters. Something about that has me worried. But in this game, I think he will do enough to win the game. I like the Vikings a lot here. I do. I like them a lot. Packers are very, very good. But this is the wrong team to face this week. Kevin O'Connell, game plan's as good as anybody in the NFL not named Andy Reid. Take the Vikings minus 1.5 with confidence.
Sunday Night Football. It is the Atlanta Falcons going to Washington. The Commanders are -3.5 point favorites. I like the Commanders here. I mean, the Falcons got gifted last week's game by default. Michael Penix didn't even really do anything. The Giants just fumbled so hard over their own feet that it ended up being a blowout. But obviously, the Commanders are playing with an insane amount of momentum going into this one. I just don't think this is a weird spot for Michael Penix to jump in. I mean, last week you get a gimme. I just don't think there's any momentum. It didn't really. And the interception wasn't his fault, obviously. But other than that, it wasn't playoff football, I guess, is the only way I can describe it. If he plays like that again, this is not going to be a close game. Washington's at home. They're going to be nuclear hot fire, the fans, for that game, considering how things have transpired. And I just think they're a better football team overall. The Atlanta Falcons are just figuring out week from week. That's not a place you want to be in. heading into
Uh,
week 17. You want to
man,
be organized and firing at all cylinders, and they are obviously not doing that at
no,
all.
not
So
doing
I
it
like
at
the
all.
Commanders.
Yeah, I like them too, man. This is a good Sunday night football game. The future is going to be on display as far as quarterbacks, especially black quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think Michael Penix is going to be ready for this. While I think he is good, he has just not had enough reps, enough live game action, and enough time versus decent squads to be put in a situation here to win this game. I think they're going to stack the box on Bijan, and they're going to dare him to win. They're going to dare him to win with his arm, and I think they're going to have a hard time doing it. To me, Jaden Daniels is one of the best picks this year coming out of the drafts. You know what I mean? I really think that he should have went higher. He could have gone to New England, man. I mean, I like Drake May too, but Jaden Daniels is a dual threat quarterback with ice in his veins. That win last week, we're going to be talking about that win versus the Eagles for years. For years. You know what I mean? Like that performance, it's a generational performance. I mean, 5 touchdowns, doing it with your arms, doing it with your legs. The Eagles' defense is a good defense. They are a top 10 defense. This is not arguable. And he carved them up like it was a Thanksgiving turkey. I really love the Commanders here. I do, man. They're one of my favorite bets. I love them. I think they destroy Atlanta here. And I think they find their way, man. They literally have found their way back so quickly. And it's amazing what good coach Dan Quinn's done a fantastic job. You just get the right, you got to get your quarterback. Guys, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you cannot win a Super Bowl. All you teams out there, take note. Raiders, Giants, all you guys that keep trying to piece this together with someone else's leftover quarterback, it's just never going to happen. Once every 50 years it'll happen with a Nick Foles, but it's just not how the NFL is put together. You have to go get your guy, and you're seeing it happen here with Jaden Daniels. Under the lights, they're going to be the only game on. He's going to go crazy. He's going to go crazy. I love them minus the 3.5. I think Atlanta is done. They're done, and they're going to release Kirk Cousins. They're not paying him that $10 million bonus. He's gone. Kirk Cousins might have to retire, man. He might, or just be a backup for years. Because no one's gonna give him a starting position after what you saw happen this year. Falcons are done, man. That was a big mistake by them. They should have just put Michael Penix out there. You drafted him so high. This is my quarterback, and let him go. You just wasted how many millions of dollars?
I know.
Stupid.
All right, now we have the Monday Night Football game, which should have been exciting going into the year, but has not turned out that way. The final regular season game is the Detroit Lions going to San Francisco, who has had obviously a very disastrous season. Somehow only minus 3.5 for the Detroit Lions in this game, which is this is absurd. This makes no sense to me. They're going to win this game by 14 points. I mean, San Francisco's going to fight tooth and nail to keep it close with a team that's much better than them. It's over, dude. I honestly, this line makes absolutely no sense.
No
to
sense.
Me.
No
This is going to
sense.
be like a 30-13 game, in my opinion. I mean, San Francisco's not good, and the Detroit Lions are very good, and they have a lot to play for. The Detroit Lions, they have the division to play for, so yeah, give me Detroit with so high level of confidence. 49ers stink.
They stink, bro. They're not good. I've been saying this all year. I told you guys that window's closed, man. When you have one play to close out the Kansas City Chiefs and you miss it, it's over. We'll see you guys in 10 years. It doesn't get any closer than that. Up 10 in the Super Bowl and you can't put it away, dude, it's done. Your fans will enjoy the days of yesteryear for the next decade because you ain't winning nothing now. All these guys are old and they're on heavy-duty contracts. Aging CMC. I wouldn't pay Purdy. You're out of your mind. But this is one reason why it could stay close because Purdy's playing for a contract. But outside of that, Purdy's playing for a contract and Debo's playing not to get traded. But outside of that, what's your motivation if you're the San Francisco 49ers? Your home field don't mean nothing. The Arizona Cardinals won there. I mean, the Chiefs win there. I mean, everyone wins there. It means absolutely nothing. I'm going to take the Lions minus 3.5. Dan Campbell came out this week and said it with his chest that we're not resting anybody. We're playing this game to win this game. Everyone is on the field. We do not care about any of that. Week 18, resting, seating. We don't care about none of that. Everyone is playing. Full complement, full playbook, full throttle. I love Dan Campbell. I do, man. Dan Campbell is a coach's coach. He's a monster. If anyone has to see this guy in the playoffs, they're gonna have their hands full because you're just basically
His
hoping.
teeth are rotting from all the caffeine the guy takes
The
in.
guy's between the dip, the cigarettes, and the caffeine. The guy's gonna be in dentures next week. But I love him, and they're gonna
He's great.
they're gonna blow the 49ers out here, man. Win any kind of money during Sunday, guys, and put it all on Detroit on Monday night. This game should not be close, and Detroit is going to go into the playoffs with a full head of steam. This is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show, guys. Under the lights, it's on. Lions minus 3.5 is the play. Let's see the Wizards ticket.
All right, my best bet teaser ticket here. The Buffalo Bills. All I need is a field goal out of them. The Colts. Obviously, I just need them to win. And then the Miami Dolphins plus 2.5. So kept it a little close on these lines. I'm really it's almost like a money line ticket in a way. But you get a little bit more juice by not taking just money lines here, especially when it comes to like that Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this ticket. I love this ticket a lot, man. That should be a good ticket. Worry about the Jets a little bit. Worry about them a little bit, but I love this ticket otherwise. The Jets a sneaky play this week, man. 9.5 is too much, but the Bills should be able to cover the 3. They should be able to.
Be able to.
They should be able to, man. Buffalo worries me this week. You got nothing to play for. You know what I mean? The AFC is pretty much, the seeding is already taking care of itself outside of like Denver and maybe what Cincinnati will do, but we'll see. World of Matches bringing the heat, guys. That's the regular season. Okay, we'll be back starting next week doing the playoffs with guys. We do the same thing. Shorter shows because less games to handicap, but we're here, man. Nothing will stop us. Football is life. It is a priority in our lives. Day, night, sun up, sundown, it don't matter. We will be here bringing the heat. We'll see you guys next week. On behalf of Dexter Reed, that is Spencer the Wiz, guys. Enjoy the games, and we are outie.
See you guys.